Hey, vegan freaks. It's Wednesday, the 12th of April, and this is our 34th podcast.
When we were kids, the bugs and the birds fascinated us. They were just like us. And we were taught they slammed the door. It's not cool to feel too much. But some of us break free. Oh, I'm a vegan freak. That's what you think, I'm a vegan freak.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? I'm Bob.
I'm Jenna.
And we're back at you for another podcast. Sorry we're a little late this week.
Yeah, we were traveling over the weekend, so we got a little behind.
And the tax man cometh soon.
Oh, God.
If you live in the United States, the 15th is the deadline for your taxes, and we had to get all our stuff together. And I'm the worst record keeper ever. No, I am.
Yes, we spent an entire afternoon getting receipts and forms so we could give them, just to give them to the accountant.
Yeah.
We weren't even doing the taxes ourselves, and it still took forever.
All this to set up a press. You know, Tofu Press. This is all like, our taxes are complicated this year because of all our vast capital investments. No, just kidding. We don't have any of those. Actually, I have some of those in my retirement account. Very few, though. No, the reasons our taxes are fairly complicated is because we set up a business this year. So that means that we have all these like deductions and earnings and shit, but the earnings are actually quite small. You know, so we went through all this stuff to set up Tofu Press, and we've actually spent a lot of money on the press, but probably we haven't even broken even within our first tax year. We did in 2006,
no
right?
way, yeah.
But so anyway, the point is that if you're in the U.S. and you should be paying your taxes, although maybe you shouldn't be paying your taxes, because I am very angry about having to pay taxes in this country. Because our taxes go to what? They go to the meat industry. They go to George Bush and all of his fat friends. They go to all kinds of things that I don't agree with. The Iraq War, the war on drugs, the war on terror, the war on just about everything that's fun and happy and good in the world, the war on everything, right? So
Everything except the things that need to have war on, like war on poverty. We should have a war on poverty.
we had a war on poverty.
Yeah.
Nixon tried that.
Yeah, it didn't work.
No. Why don't we have a war on cruelty?
Yeah.
A cruel war on cruelty. Why don't we just stop having fucking wars on anything?
Exactly.
Right? Why don't we just start solving some damn problems? You know, social problems have complicated solutions, and when you have those complicated solutions, it is as simple as a war. But anyway, I'm pissed off about having to pay my taxes to George W. Bush, who is a warmonger and who is now going to invade Iran, and you know, what a pain. So anyway, taxes are there. We were out of town, which sucks.
Yeah.
You know, it was good to be out of town, but it eats time away, and weekends are when we really move on the podcast.
Yeah, so I actually had to work on Saturday to give a talk at a conference for my real job, so...
Yep. And
it was a good conference. So.
No, it was good to be out of town. Mm-hmm. And we met Tofu Punk, who has a voicemail later on in the show. We met her and her man, Mr. Tofu Punk. And we went to Singapore, Chinese vegetarian restaurant. Chinese kosher
vegetarian restaurant.
Very good food there.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it all, we actually have real jobs, too, that occasionally take up too much of our time.
Indeed.
Damn real jobs.
Yeah. Working
for money, all that crap. And then last week, also, Eric Marcus was in town.
Mm-hmm.
So he was at the university to give a talk. He gave a talk to a group of students and talked about, a number of things. First, he talked about his trip to an auction here, just near town, an animal auction, which you can hear on his podcast. And he also talked about battery cages and hens and battery cages, and trying to get a battery cage hen-free campaign going at our university. And a couple students are taking that on, so, you know, it was cool to have him here, and he's a nice guy, and we had a good time hanging out with him, talking to him. What else? So Eric was in town. That was cool, except that we couldn't take him out to dinner anywhere except for the dining hall.
Yeah, it was kind of sad. We had to take him to the campus dining hall.
But actually, there are options there. You know, it's not like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, we had a couple things we could have chosen from. So
right,
it was good.
There were choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's about it. I was underprepared this week. We don't have any shout-outs together, but I do have two quick announcements of two new sites that you may want to turn your eyes towards.
Okay.
One of them is Super Vegan. That's supervegan.com. That's by that's a blog that's associated with Lantern Books.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they've got some pretty good blog entries there, and you should run over and check that out. And then there's another that's Friends of Claire's have set up, and that's at I always look at it. It's veg blogs, right? vegblo.gs.
Like veg blow.
So I'm like veg blogs. Veg blogs. Anyway. whatever. But no, that's a nice site because what it essentially is an aggregator of all different news feeds, including ours. So what you can do is go there and you can see like all different. It's one site that pulls together a bunch of different sites. So you get to see all these different sites that are updated there. And it's a nice place to have, kind of pull together all these different sources. So you should go check that out.
Cool.
So we will be back in regular form shortly. It's just that we're at the busiest time of our semester right now.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's really bad for us in terms of work. So that's kind of why we're a little behind on things and not quite as organized as we should be.
Yeah, that's why we might sound a little tired.
Yeah, you got to amp yourself up for like radio,
Yeah, I know.
You got to actually be animated and alive and hey. Yeah.
The only way I'm going to get there is with a lot more coffee.
No, you're getting there. Come on.
I'm getting there. You're getting there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could tell the funny story about my lunch at the conference, though.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
At the conference. Well, see, another hint for people is, if you're going to places that you should find out if they're going to have vegetarian food. And I didn't bother because I knew we were going to go out later that afternoon for our Vietnamese hoagies, which we had tofu hoagies. They were really good. So I knew we were going to go out. So I wasn't all that bothered with the lunch that came with the conference. So I didn't even bother talking to them. But it was kind of funny because we went and they had like all these different kind of sandwiches all set up and some, other things. So basically what I ended up eating for lunch was potato chips.
Well, they're good.
Everything else was not vegan.
It was meaty. Everything else was meaty.
Yeah, they had a vegetarian sandwich, but it had some sort of cream cheese.
Not vegan.
Exactly. Type thing on it. Why they had to put that on it, I don't know. Why they couldn't just put oil on it, I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah, but oil isn't nearly as attractive to people who like to eat
as some
pus.
sort of herbed cream cheese. Yes, herbed pus.
Herbed pus.
So, yeah, and then they had like a mayonnaise coleslaw and a lot of other meaty sandwiches, and it was kind of gross.
Well, you know what? Whenever I see those kinds of things, I always think, all those people are going to get food poisoning, and I'm not. Because you have all of these, mayonnaise is like one of the best things to grow bacteria. You have all the stuff sitting out at room temperature, and sometimes if people are lazy, it's been out at room temperature a long time. And you've got tuna fish, which is not only full of mercury, but now probably also full of the mayonnaise that's going to grow bacteria. And you can look at it all and go, ha ha ha, you're going to get sick, and I'm not. So there you go. That's an evil.
It is.
Yeah.
But I did have an interesting conversation with the woman who I went to the conference with, who I work with. And she says that her son is about 2 years old, I think, and they call him their little vegan. They're not vegan. Her and her husband aren't vegan, but he's a veganito. And veganito. So he's allergic to dairy. So as a family, they cut out all dairy.
Wow.
And they've been cooking things from the Uncheese cookbook. And so they've been having problems with their daycare provider, who the other day gave him a yogurt because all the other kids had one, and then he wanted one, the kid wanted one too. So she gave him one, and he got really sick.
Oh, man.
So she's been having a lot of problems, the people at the daycare are calling his lunch the mystery box, because they never know what he's going to get, because whatever he gets doesn't look like food.
Man.
And also they call him their little vegan because he doesn't like to eat meat. He refuses to eat it. They try to give him, and he doesn't eat it.
Smart kid.
I know. This is great. It's a 2-year-old.
There you go. I think that's actually the case with a lot of kids, though, from what I've heard. I don't really know that many kids, but I've heard other people talk about how a lot of kids don't innately prefer meat. Mm-hmm. So, cool.
That was really
Hopefully he can stay vegan.
Yeah, I just felt bad because she faces, even though she's not vegan herself, she faces a lot of the same challenges that vegan parents do.
Absolutely. And up here, you can be sure that they'll be like, that ain't no real food. That kind of.
Exactly.
So
there's that.
If there's nothing dead in it, it's not real.
Yes.
And you're just going to starve.
Indeed. We're going to waste away to nothing.
Yeah, I was accused recently of having an addled brain because I lack sufficient nutrients. This by a beekeeper on one of his blogs. It was talking about one of my entries. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But, whatever. My brain is addled, indeed. Quite addled.
Oh, yeah. We're lacking in those vital nutrients.
Yep. Speaking of lacking in vital nutrients, we have a new book coming out from Tofu Ham Press shortly from someone who, until recently, was probably lacking in vital nutrients.
Probably.
Yeah.
Junk food vegan.
He was a junk food vegan, although he's been cleaned up. So that's from Daniel Pizer. His book is called Dispatches from Hell, and it's about love and sex and being a vegan. So we'll have that out hopefully by the end of the month. Mm-hmm. We will have printed copies, and I will put a link to his website there, dispatchesfromhell.org, where you can go and get some more info on the book and see a cute little picture of Dan. And we also need to wish Dan and his fiance.
Yes.
Fiance. You need to wish Dan and his fiance Jenna congratulations, because they've been recently engaged. So, and they told their families, and it was like a big thing. So we, as getting engaged, of course, should be. Unlike me, when I went to the grocery store and stuck that dime in the machine, turned the crank, and out came the little cheap ass ring I gave you. No, anyway, they are getting engaged, so I want to congratulate them on that. So apparently, he's writing a book on dating advice, and it has worked, because
apparently
there he is getting engaged, right?
Indeed.
So presumably, if that's your end, and even if you're not your end, he's got some good stuff in there. So that book will be a lot of fun. It's coming out shortly, and we've been busy trying to get that thing together too. So yeah. What else we got going on? One news item I kind of liked. I know that we said a while ago we don't do news, but sometimes I see things in the news and I can't help but talk about them. On our forums, Disjunct, who you may remember from the Cookie Monster medal several weeks ago. Was that last week or week before?
I don't know. I've lost all track of time. So
speaking of last week's show, we got a lot of really positive feedback on show 33. So apparently all of you are kind of sick.
Yeah.
And twisted.
Well, no, everybody, I think a lot of people have companion animals, so they understand what it's like.
Yep. And companion children like me who vomit in their car.
Exactly. Yeah, children ooze all kinds of things too. So.
Yeah, they do indeed. They're very oozy.
But all the animals are much better now.
Yeah, they are. Everybody's
Michi
cool.
has recovered. Our cat.
Fine.
And Emmy's up and moving around, no problem now.
Emmy's great.
So.
And Mole is always like Mole, just completely Jack.
Yeah.
We call him a jackass because he's just really rowdy. That's his way.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, to get back to this article, this is from Disjunct. It says new scientific review shows vegetarian diets cause major weight loss. The only problem with this is that it comes out on 1 April 2006.
Oh.
Is the PCRM stupid? They put a press release out on the 1st of April, right, talking about vegetarian diets. Now, come on. People are going to look at this and go, "Ooh,
it's April Fools."
Yeah. But anyhow, the article says, a scientific review in April's nutrition review shows that a vegetarian diet is highly effective for weight loss. Vegetarian populations tend to be slimmer than meat eaters, and they experience lower rates of heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, and other life-threatening conditions linked to overweight and obesity. The new review, compiling data from 87 previous studies, shows the weight loss effect does not depend on exercise or calorie counting, and it occurs at a rate of approximately 1 pound per week. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good, healthy way to lose weight.
So those of you who have been vegan for several years, you should be in the negatives by now.
If only. No.
Rates of obesity in the general population are skyrocketing, while in vegetarians, obesity prevalence ranges from 0% to 6%. Note study authors Susan E. Burko, PhD, CNS, and Neil D. Barnard, MD, of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. The authors found that the body weight of both male and female vegetarians is, on average, 3% to 20% lower than that of meat eaters. Vegetarian and vegan diets have also been put to the test in clinical studies, as the review notes. The best of these clinical studies isolated the effects of diet by keeping exercise constant. The researchers found that a low-fat vegan diet leads to weight loss of about 1 pound per week, even without additional exercise or limits on portion sizes, calories, or carbohydrates. And I'll just keep going. What the hell? It's pretty short.
Okay.
Our research reveals that people can enjoy unlimited portions of high-fiber foods, such as fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, to achieve or maintain a healthy body weight without feeling hungry, says Dr. Burkow, the lead author. There is evidence that a vegan diet causes an increased calorie burn after meals, meaning plant-based foods are being used more efficiently as fuel for the body, as opposed to being stored as fat, says Dr. Barnard. Insulin sensitivity is increased by a vegan diet, allowing nutrients to more rapidly enter the cells of the body to be converted to heat rather than to fat. And I've put a stable right through the article, like a complete idiot that I am. Earlier this month, a team of researchers led by Tim Key of Oxford University found that meat eaters who switched to a plant-based diet gained less weight over a period of 5 years. Papers reviewed by Drs. Burko and Barnard include several published by Dr. Key and his colleague, as well as a recent study of more than 55,000 Swedish women showing that meat eaters are more likely to be overweight than vegetarians and vegans. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking to lose weight, veganism is a good way to go.
Yeah, it was funny. We went to this Singapore vegetarian restaurant twice while we were in Philadelphia, because we can't get any up here. So it was like we want to overdose. Yeah. So the first time we went with Tofu Punk and her husband, and the second time we went with her brother.
That's right.
And his girlfriend. And it was funny because he was eating, the pseudo General Tso's chicken, and he was commenting about the fact that he gets full a lot faster.
That's true.
When he's eating it. I'm like, that's because it has fiber, unlike real chicken.
And you're eating it with brown rice.
And you're eating with brown rice, so the more fiber. Fiber is good.
When I switched to when I stopped eating white rice and started eating brown rice, I lost weight. I lost a significant amount of weight. Well, not a significant amount. I lost a few pounds. But, for me it was significant. Just from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a pretty good thing. And every so often I get into a little argument with Jenna, the rice Nazi, about rice.
I don't like white rice anymore.
See, I don't either, but for some things, white rice is better. Like, for example, when I was growing up, we used to make this. My mom and grandmother always made this Spanish, as we call it, Spanish rice, because you don't want to call it Mexican rice because Mexicans are whatever. In Mexico, of course, anything that's Spanish, if you're from a certain class, anything Spanish is good, of course. Anything that's Mexican is, of course, dirty and indigenous or whatever. And that's just the way it is. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. But anyway, we call it Spanish rice. So, Spanish rice, I always grew up eating it, and I always eat it from white rice. So I'm used to the taste of it. I like it that way. That's why my mom always made it. That's why my grandmother always made it. That's what I'm used to. I'm a spoiled brat. So, no, but I mean, you grow up eating something, you eat it for 30 years like that, and then all of a sudden you switch to brown rice, and the taste is different, the texture is different, and suddenly you aren't having all the flashbacks that you had to like all the kiddie stuff.
Well, you also grew up eating meat.
Well, I know.
And now you don't want to eat meat.
Damn you. I hate you. I hate you. No, I don't hate you, but, okay. Rice isn't meat, so I sometimes like white rice in those situations.
Yeah, I see.
Also, I like white jasmine rice with my curry, for example. If I'm going to make a heart attack curry, with all the coconut milk and all that crap in it, all that saturated fat, a little bit of white rice ain't going to make it any worse. It's like when I see people get like a triple decker hamburger, French fries, and a Diet Coke. I'm like, fuck the Diet Coke, right? You might as well go all the way, okay? You're consuming 4,000 calories in the hamburger and fries. What's another 200 with the Coke, So that's kind of the way I look at that. But you're right. I completely agree with you. What you say makes sense. You are 100% right. Doctor, I can't remember the name of our doctor now. Crap. I was going to say Dr. whatever her name is.
I don't remember. Wow, that's a good sign. We haven't been there in a while.
Cynthia. Dr. Cynthia agrees. So the doctor agrees with you. I agree with you. You're right. But sometimes I like white rice because I'm a spoiled little baby. And that's what my mommy used to make.
Well, then.
Sorry about that voice. I don't know why I keep doing that. All right, so moving on. What else we got? Another thing that came up this week I found on the forums and such. Let's see, where is that? Yes. There is... Did I print it out? Stupid boy. I had it print out, and now I don't know what I did with it.
I don't know. Did the dog eat it?
Nope, found it.
Okay.
The dog who eats papers is downstairs sleeping. Let's leave sleeping dogs lie.
Yes.
The other thing that came up, though, is an article that Misanthropy posted on our forums. And the article is called A Fallen Vegetarian, a Rising Filmmaker. You may have seen this. It's been popping up all over vegan blogs and things. And the article was prefaced by Misanthropy with the following line. Fucking sellout, so taste trumped ethics. Nice. And if you know Misanthropy, that is very much her. But I agree, right? And the article itself talks about how essentially the Seattle Times asked this woman to kind of make a little movie. They're doing these 3-piece masterpiece contests, and they're asking this woman who ate ham after 15 years of vegetarianism to do a little film for their 3-minute segment. So she does this little segment about after being a 15-year vegetarian, she eats ham. And so she writes this little open letter to ham and then videotapes this whole thing about it. I'm going to play it for you in a minute. Well, of course, it's the radio, so you can't see it. So you can start your radio all you want. You won't see the video, obviously. But I will play for you the audio because the video, it's actually moderately clever. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. It's really feckless. But anyway, the point here is that they asked her to do this, and she says here that they ask her in this article, what it was all about. She said, I want to portray the struggle of a long-time vegetarian against the many temptations of ham. Based on a true story, my own, I hope to convey the powerful pull of ham, particularly in the face of an endless parade of hummus sandwiches, veggie burgers, and regrettably, soy ham. Now, I have a lot to say about this, but what I'll do is just roll this for you. It's about 3 minutes, so hang in there. You should listen to it. What I think struck me about this, though, the first time I listened to it, and what I would like you to listen for, class, is that it's Carol Adams would really get a kick out of this because there is this overt sexualization of ham in this thing that you should really hear, and it's kind of borderline pornographic. Now it's probably tongue in cheek, but still, what it does is drives home this idea that in fact there's this kind of weird sexual thing going on. See, just take a listen. There's a little bit of garbage at the beginning. It's just some noise and things like that. So, if it sounds a little confusing, like in a second or two, you'll know why. But and here it is.
Dear Ham, you promised this day would come. You swore it some 15 years ago when I renounced you and all your meaty brethren. You said I'd come crawling back. You even laughed a little, snorting in the spiteful way of cured meats. You said you couldn't wait to see me beg. Well, here I am. I have no doubt you'll find this letter pathetic. I'm sure my name on the envelope has already provided a good chuckle for you and your pals at the deli. Nonetheless, I hope you can find it in your salty pink heart to hear me out. I miss you. You'll say it's too late for apologies, but allow me to make a feeble attempt. I was young. Fresh out of college, I was trying to create a personality, something with ideals. I had read some convincing articles. I had recently befriended an environmentalist. Oh, Ham, I know these excuses will sound absurd to your earless hawk. So instead, let me whisper my confession. I think about you all the time. I see your lovely pinkness everywhere. I make a special trip down your aisle at the grocery store. Perhaps you've caught me staring. Perhaps you've felt the moist caress of drool as I pull away toward the salad bar. I'm not sure I can control my actions, Ham. I've had unclean thoughts. At night I dream of sinking my teeth into your glazed flesh and gorging until I'm sated. When I awaken, I can still feel the heft of your carcass in my embrace, like a phantom limb. In your absence, I have made questionable choices. I have feigned a preference for hummus sandwiches. I have willingly purchased and consumed tofu ham. I have made yummy noises about veggie burgers. I can hear your honey-baked laughter now, but please understand, these were decisions made in the blind grasp of ravenous longing. At times, I fear I've gone mad with ham fever. I can't go on like this. I must have you. None of your porcine cousins will do. I have no interest in bacon, flaunting that garish cologne, nor the cadaverous stiffness of pork chops. It's only you, Ham. You complete me. I await your response, hungrily, Brandon.
So
not vegan.
so not vegan. She in this article, I was just looking through the article while I was listening to that again. She has here her final point about this film in the article itself. It says, "Veggie ham tastes nothing like real ham. I had been fooling myself for years, convinced that despite its resemblance to a fruit roll-up, my soy ham was pretty close to the real thing. Having not experienced ham for 15 years, my mouth was an easy mark. It's ham, I would insist, choking down an anemic sandwich. But when I was finally reunited with actual beautiful ham, in the name of my art, of course, my taste buds shouted, 'Holy Moses, now this is ham!' Which brings me to my current dietary status. I suppose I can't legally call myself a vegetarian anymore, since I've decided that if there happens to be some good ham in the vicinity, organic, free-range ham from pigs who have been reared to and slaughtered nonviolently in their sleep, then gosh darn it, I can have some ham. But having no interest in poultry or beef, nor any other pork product, I'm not quite willing to live under the carnivore label. I'm thinking something more like hamitarian. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? I'm thinking more like fuckatarian.
Yeah.
But anyway...
pig slaughter-atarian.
Yeah. I wrote a little response.
Yeah.
If you're interested. Should I read this? What do you think?
Sure.
You sound hesitant.
No, go ahead.
You think it's too long?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I wrote a little response. Actually, let me tell you. Before I forget, you can send her an email if you'd like. Her email address is brangien@yahoo.com. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. So I didn't bother to send her an email because, I'm not that kind of guy. But I did write her a letter on our webpage I thought might be fun to talk about. Basically, should I read the whole thing?
I don't know. How long is it? It's long. I don't know. Read parts of it.
I gotta read the whole thing.
Okay, read it. Just read it then.
All right. Dear Fallen Vegetarian, congratulations on your reawakening into the world of the flesh eating. I'm sure this must be liberating for you, at least as liberating as, say, purchasing the products of child labor, or laughing hard at a good racist joke. Or maybe even as liberating as watching Hannibal Lecter, in whose company you seem to be sharing in the unrepentant exaltation of flesh consumption. Of course, I have no idea if you're a racist or if you buy products of child labor or if you like to eat human liver with fava beans and a fine Chianti. All I really know is that you've been born again into the world of meat eaters, and I'm sure they're happy to have you back because we sure don't want you. Yep, I'm the pleasure-hating food police here to ruin your culinary money shot. But I digress. You may be wondering why it is that I'd bother to talk about things like child labor and racism in a letter to you about your erotic and lustful obsession with ham. For me, it comes down to this. It is all about pleasure. Some folks get off on racist jokes, others enjoy the products of child labor. When some people learn that what they're doing hurts others, they stop doing it. Some people figure out that racist jokes make others label under a racial stereotype. Others know that those Pakistani soccer balls sung by 8-year-olds deprive another human being of their freedom. People feel guilty when they know the exploitation that's behind what they consume, and some people change their ways. Some people are not content to play soccer with balls that drip with the blood of child labor, and some people, similarly, are not content to eat food that drips with the blood of another being that feels pain. Of course, not everyone knows better yet. Many still work under the assumption that animals live happy and peaceful lives in a bucolic bliss. But for those that know better and still continue to behave the way they always have, well, they're just plain guilty of pointless cruelty. And as an ex-vegetarian that has, quote, read some things, you surely know better. You know that the cost of your ham is literally exacted in flesh, and that for you to satisfy your want, you are putting another being through a lifetime and death of abject pain and suffering. What's worse than this, though, is your willingness to make a joke of the contract killing done in your name. But right, I almost forgot. I'm here to offer you some congratulations on your return to the world of the flesh eating. By now, you've surely been welcomed back with open arms, because nothing pleases those who like to consume cruelty more than gaining back one of their lost brethren. You provide evidence, then, that vegetarianism is a fad, that all vegetarians really do secretly want to eat meat, and that we're all just meat eaters who've lost our way in some search for something to make us unique in college. And, by the way, there are easier ways to be unique, and one of those ways includes having the backbone to stick to your principles. To you, I'm probably just another humorless vegan who's taking things too far or thinking too much. I've escaped the slimy embrace of ham, though admittedly I've never really had anything sexual for the flesh of pigs. I'd like to wish you the best in your return to eating the once living, but I can't really find it in my heart to wish you well when you're causing so much damage when you know better. Yes, ham might taste really good to you, just like cheap products of child labor might be really fun to buy, or just like that liver with fava beans is really good to Dr. Lecter. But none of that makes your ham-handed, pardon the pun, video and your near sexual fascination with ham justifiable or just. Congratulations, no longer will you have to starve for what you crave. No longer will you have to eat imitation meat. No longer will you have to worry about that pesky conscience or be bothered with that irritating backbone. No, dear friend, for now you can ignorantly consume while others suffer. Congratulations, for that kind of ignorance doesn't come cheap. And that's what I have to say. You have anything you'd like to add there?
Yeah. Well, you pretty much got at it, but the whole way she was describing it, about talking about the pink. I mean, come on.
Kind of hustler-esque, eh?
Yeah. I was like, and sinking her teeth into the flesh. I'm like, you're right. Carol Adams would have a field day with that.
Yeah, she would. Someone really needs to. I should probably send that to her.
Yeah, you should.
It is. It's overtly sexualized. So.
Yeah, and it's absolutely disgusting.
It is, isn't it?
I mean, to totally ignore the being behind the meat that she's consuming just for her taste, and knowing better, and not even being interested in any other meat but just this one, and making pigs suffer for it.
But someone who's been a vegetarian for 15
years.
years. You know, that's like not a week or two. That's 15 years. It's a long time.
I don't know. You know what? I think becoming vegan makes you less like that.
I think so,
like
too.
wanting to crave meat, because when we were vegetarians, meat still sounded good to me.
It looked good to me too. I'll admit
Now, as a vegan, it disgusts me.
Me too.
I mean, it makes me sick to my stomach.
Yep.
And I don't know why just giving up dairy and eggs does that, but it does. And like, I don't know, I can't stand to be around. I can't stand the smell of the sight. I have to like quickly rush through those parts of the grocery store. You know,
Yep, it's true.
So.
I don't know. Then again, we're just sensitive and our brains are addled. And
oh yeah, we're the food police.
We have no protein.
Yeah,
we
don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
We lack essential proteins.
Yes.
So. Okay. Well, anyway, we've been kind of heavy, but let me play some music for you. Today's show we're gonna have two musical interludes, and I thought it'd be cool to play the parts of the CD that Rat sent me a while ago. Rat from the UK. Rat used to be in the band is Riot Clone. Rat used to actually play in Riot Clone, and not on this album though. But I really like this album, so I wanted to play a couple songs from it this show. So both these songs are from the Riot Clone album, Do You Want Fries With That? And this one is called Stop the Slaughter. And I'm going to play the little The tracks have these little things in between, like they're called links. But I'm going to play the link and the song. So there's a little bit of a kind of spoken piece and then, or kind of a recording, and then the song itself. So I'm going to roll those, and then we'll be right back after that to talk about emails.
From infancy, we're all taught to think of animals as whimsical, endearing extensions of ourselves. Philosophers call it anthropomorphism, and it's perhaps the first fib we tell our children, the lasting lie which their picture books and nursery rhymes perpetrate and perpetuate. For we lead them, and ourselves, to believe in something that's unreal. As they grow older, they'll learn that animals are not just different species to be marvelled at, cherished, petted, loved and befriended, but creatures that we use, abuse, and consume.
So that was Stop the Slaughter by Riot Clone. Good lyrics there. I don't know if you had a chance to hear any of them. They say things like trawl nets 60 kilometers wide, leave aquatic life nowhere to hide, seals, dolphins, birds, and whales, all caught up in the murder trail. And I like the last bit the best, actually. It says unscientific vivisection, abuse, gives drug companies an excuse so they can't be sued if someone dies from swallowing their tablets in their lies. An example of self-perpetuity, the multi-million-pound cancer charities, they'd be out of business if they found a cure, so they test on animals, no chance there. And that's a pretty kick-ass song. So, good album, you should go run out and get it if you can. Do You Want Fries With That by Riot Clone. Alright, so I think now we're going to move into some email.
Okay.
You've got mail.
Okay, let's see here. Cialis? No, don't need that. Bigger bus size? No. Free iPod? Oh, might do that. Oh, are you pleasing your woman? Well, you better ask her. Oh, well, what's this? Vegan Freak email? Vegan Freak email. Yes.
Okay, so we thought for some fun this week we would do something a little different. And that is that we would read a couple emails from the complaint file. They're kind of they're not exactly complaints. They're just readers writing in to keep us on our toes. So not readers, listeners writing in to keep us on our toes. So we won't really respond to these because we've been critiqued in the past for being hard on people that have been critical of us. So I thought I would just read these out there, let people know what other people are saying, just kind of put it on the table, and we'll move on. How's that?
Sounds like a good idea.
All right. This one is from Andrew, and Andrew says, love your podcast. Love that you guys seem to have dedicated every waking leisure moment to getting the word out. And, of course, love the vegan diet. Keep it up. You rock. Thanks. I have to take you to task, however, over a recent item on your podcast, the article you read concerning the alcoholic Middle Easterner, I think he was Indian, though, who set himself on fire after being denied meat with his dinner. To my mind, this item has nothing to do with the vegan omni debate and instead falls squarely in the realm of mental illness. Obviously, this guy had some issues, as you pointed out, but his death is a tragedy, for all life is sacred, human as well as that of cows, chickens, etc. Its inclusion on your podcast suggests that you embrace a save a cow, laugh at the dead omni belief, which I'm sure you don't. I suppose the thought was, look how toxic the meat eating culture can be, but again, this man's reaction was far, far beyond any culturally imposed norm, and can't be blamed on carnivorous ways. Anything could have set this guy off, I imagine, and the absence of meat was just another trigger in this case. If there was a news item about someone who shot himself because his car was stolen, it wouldn't have a place on Car Talk. Sorry. Thought that was kind of funny. I'm rude. I can't help it. I have a sick sense of humor, and it's not right, but that's the way I am. But he's right. Certainly not as a humorous bit. And I submit this article didn't really have a place on your show. Taking a life, one's own or that of another, is tragic and unnecessary. Just had to get that off my chest. Keep up the good work. Andrew. So that's from Andrew. And that's one email. We have another.
Okay, this one is from Anthony. I was recently introduced to your show at a small animal rights meeting. I was pretty excited about the idea of a vegan podcast, and your show, along with veganradio.com, were both brought to my attention. I was already familiar with you two as a couple through Herbivore magazine, which was, thank you, Herbivore. That was an awesome article.
Absolutely.
Thank you once again for that opportunity. In most regards, I found my first listen through one of your podcasts to be quite good. It was a boring production-type day at work, and listening to vegan news and stories of your animals shitting themselves helped numb the pain of monotony. Yes, kitties are good for that.
They are indeed. Even shitting kitties.
Mm-hmm. The show, in most respects, is perfect, and the one thing I noticed, and bear with me, I am far from hippie PC-type vegan, was the use of the word bitch. I really detest the PC police, however the word bitch to me is incredibly unvegan. Allow me to elaborate. These points, of course, presupposes that we agree that sexism is not ethically vegan. There is no male equivalent to the word bitch. Calling someone a bitch implies that they are doing one of two things. A, acting feminine, and this implies that feminine behavior is a bad thing. And B, acting irrational, and this implies that women are irrational. Calling someone a bitch may also state that they are acting subhuman like a dog, which implies that acting like a dog is a bad thing, further reinforcing superiority of humans over non-human animals. Not only are bitches acting like animals, which you're implying is bad, they are acting as female animals, which is worse because females are evidently irrational and feminine. Just food for thought, really. Of course, I am a male and can't pretend to understand the plight of living in a sexist world is like. These are just mere observations and shouldn't be taken overly serious. To me, however, the word bitch wouldn't be considered ethically vegan. Overall, good show. I subscribed and I look forward to the next podcast with the word bitch or without.
There you go.
Well, thank you for your observations.
Intellectually correct.
Yes, indeed. You're right.
I think I probably called Dino a bitch.
Yeah.
But
and in one of our songs, they called Jennifer Lopez a bitch.
yeah, but also called her
for wearing fucking twat.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I called Dino a bitch though, at some point in the
it's
past.
entirely possible.
I don't remember if I did last week. Oh, Emmy, you're such a bitch. But she is.
She is. She's our doggy.
She is our bitch. So anyway,
But you're right. Yes, you're right.
Absolutely correct. We thought we would just read some of those. So perhaps you are a kindred spirit out there who felt this way and didn't write in. Perhaps you're not. We thought we would just share some of those emails. It's the day we read from your letters. Just like NPR. Every day on Vegan Freak Radio is the day we read from your letters.
This is true.
Okay, we have a couple other emails, though. These we will respond to. Let's see. We need to divvy up the responsibilities here. How about I give you a nice long one to read?
Okay.
Cool. And, all right. You want to begin or should I?
Okay, sure.
Go.
This is from Alice. My name is Alice, and I live in Springfield, Illinois. I have just recently graduated from high school and am awaiting my diploma. I have only been a vegan since September of 2005 and have been vegetarian since June of 2005, but I've always been an advocate for animal rights and as a younger child never had the willpower to become either. My boyfriend went vegan again, and I decided that now I had someone to help, I would take the plunge and do it. I must say it's been a wonderful 10 months. Sorry. Our printer's on the fritz still. Okay, now to the point. During the first semester of the school year, I was in AP class. We were going to be dissecting cats. Ew. Well, since I have never dissected anything in my life, and never will because it is horrible and nasty, I had my mom write a letter to my teacher saying that it is against my lifestyle, and that I have never dissected anything, even in the 4th grade when my class dissected a cow eye. Again, gross. A cow eye? What the hell are you dissecting a cow eye for?
That is gross.
It's disgusting. Oh, it reminds me of that video that Luis Buñuel.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The Chien Andalou.
Chien Andalou, yeah.
Ugh, gross.
I'm sure I'm saying for the French speakers out there, I really apologize.
Perro andaluz. How's
There
that?
you go.
Okay. Yay. Well, when it came time for the dissection, I had printed up the law in Illinois that states that no child has to dissect, and they can refuse for any reason at all. My teacher told me to take my stupid law to the guidance office. Well, that was rude. She thought she was punishing us. The only way to get her attention was to make a big scene, so I did that with pride.
Nice.
My guidance counselor told sorry.
The printer is dying. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Told my friend who was with me and I that being vegan has nothing to do with dissection in the first place. I told her otherwise. We received an alternative, but that was just pictures of a CD-ROM of a real cat being dissected. Not reasonable at all. I cried. I'm not ashamed of it, and it helped my case. We received a reasonable alternative, but the fact is that I had to fight. There was a law in place in my state showed that my school did not care about its students. I just thought this would be a good story for you to hear. I am currently in contact to set up an article in my local newspaper about how teenagers in this state and others, California, Florida, Illinois, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Virginia, do have the right not to dissect. The law in Illinois is Dissections Alternatives Act. Thank you for your time.
Nice. And we have that in New York, huh?
Yeah, sounds like it.
I need to look into that because every so often in I have students in university level classes who are in a position where they are often forced to dissect things and they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at a private school, so we probably wouldn't even have to follow it, but I have to see what's up with that. But it's good that you made a stand.
Yeah, definitely good.
We need more people to do that, and even if you get laughed at, tough shit, I mean, like, not tough shit on you, but it's, the teacher might get mad at you or whatever, but it's your right, and you have to exercise your right or you lose it. So
yeah,
I think it's good that you made your wishes known, and you did everything you had to do to get out of it, and that's good.
Yeah, and I think people will look back and remember that, like for the other students,
That's
to show
right.
that you stood up for yourself and you stood up for your beliefs. I think that could make a real impression.
I think it's always important to stand up for your beliefs, obviously, but it's hard to do when you're in high school or whatever.
It's very difficult because you don't have any power. You don't,
You're in an extremely vulnerable position. You're a minor, and people make fun of you for all kinds of stuff, as we've talked about in the past. So,
yes.
Okay. Another email we have is from Beth, and Beth writes, I've been vegetarian for 20 years, vegan for 3 whole days. Your book is just amazing. I started reading it yesterday, and I really appreciate your ideas, sentiments, and advice. Well, thank you for that. That's a very kind sentiment. Anyway, I have already had 2 dreams about eating cheese. Am I weird? I don't think so.
No.
I think it's pretty common. I mean, it makes sense that you're preoccupied about veganism, right? You just went vegan. You probably like cheese quite a bit, and I think you're just kind of hung up on it. So you're thinking about it during the day, and maybe you're thinking about it before you go to bed, and it's just one of those things that probably is in your head, and you're going to be dreaming about it.
Yeah,
I think
that makes sense. If you're going to be dreaming about the things that you're thinking of. I mean, it makes total sense.
I don't think it's such a bad thing, though. as long as you're not eating cheese, I think dreaming about it is probably kind of normal. A lot of us have meat mares of some kind or another. I had one a while ago that I talked about on the podcast, and I think it's kind of normal, and especially since you're trying to cut it out. And it's good that you cut out cheese, because cheese is the thing that I find gets people stuck the most. Mm-hmm. People can usually give up eggs, but cheese, everybody seems to be stuck on cheese. Like before they go vegan, cheese is it. Everybody's like, I could be vegan except I can't give up cheese, and I'm like, just cut the cheese out. I really think easing yourself into a vegan diet, I know people are doing it, and I appreciate that, but personally I think easing yourself into a vegan diet gives cheese control over you, if you love cheese. Because you just keep eating a little bit of cheese and a little bit of cheese and you eat less and less cheese, you're trying to scale it back, but eventually you look forward to that little bit of cheese, it gets all this power over you. I think, boom, just cut it out and move on. So I'm glad you've done that. I don't think having meat mares is so unusual. I think it's quite normal, and I wouldn't panic about it. So
you said cut the cheese.
Cut it.
Cut it out.
I wish I had a little fart noise in the soundboard. I would play it right now. But I don't. So I don't know. Bummer. All right, we have another email. This one is from Therese. I assume is how she would pronounce her name. She says, "Hi, Bob and Jenna. I was listening to your 30-second podcast, and I have 2 Labrador retrievers, and they are totally hyper. One of them doesn't sun himself though, so he's always getting dandruff. The other one likes to gnaw on my hand. I totally love them. I think having had dogs my whole life is an important role in my becoming vegetarian. However, living in the Philippines, it's still a bit difficult to go vegan, especially as I live with my parents and don't earn much yet, being a new college graduate and a campaign assistant for PETA. I'll probably go vegan when I live on my own. And yes, I hear the heated question from my folks every day, where will you get your protein? They're very traditional, so it's hard having even become vegetarian, but I love them anyway. Aside from going vegan, my next project is to get a tattoo. I'm anemic, so I can't donate blood anyway. I was thinking of having the animal rights insignia done at the nape of my neck. Any ideas? And where do you suggest? Maybe the San Diego area, even New York or Maryland. Again, thank you for continuing to inspire and keep the light burning. You rock. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Labrador Retrievers are indeed crazy dogs. If you go back and listen to our interview with Josh, Herbivore Josh,
Oh, yeah.
he talks about some things that his dog did.
Yeah, his lab.
And his farts and things like that. Quite funny. But as for, let's see. Where will you get your protein? Well, that's quite easy. You don't have to worry much about it.
No, just eat a variety, of course.
Actually, Eric Marcus said something pretty good when he was at the university when a student asked him this.
Mm-hmm.
He said, look, as long as you're eating enough calories, you're getting enough protein. As long as you're eating enough, you're not, you're eating a variety of foods and you're eating enough calories, you're more than likely getting enough protein. And protein isn't really the concern, right? The concern on a vegan diet, you have to worry about B12, sometimes you have to worry about iron, and sometimes you have to worry about calcium. But you don't have to worry in the sense that you're not going to get these things, but maybe a little bit of cognizance about them is wise. Otherwise, you don't have to really worry much about it. Now,
unless you're, of course, subsisting on a French fry and soda diet.
Right, or KC Masterpiece chips and hummus, as our friend Dan Pizer used to live on. So yeah, I mean, of course, if you're going to eat that kind of crap, you're eventually going to be sick. And, people develop deficiencies on meat diets, too.
They do.
And no one blames the meat. No one's like, well, you're only eating meat. Of course you're going to have, whatever. No, no one ever talks about that. And it happens a lot. So, I don't know. I get really crazy about that one. As for getting a tattoo, New York, there's a vegan tattoo shop, a couple in New York, right? Mm-hmm. There was an article in Satya a while ago. And there's another in Portland. So there are places all over to go get vegan tattoos. And pretty much any shop, if you ask them in advance, will get you vegan ink. So
yeah, so just go and find a shop that you like and you like to work at. Look at a lot of pictures.
Yep, and don't shop for price.
No.
Shopping for price is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Discount tattoo is like discount sushi. It's just like not a good thing. You're going to have the thing for the rest of your life. So it's important that you go somewhere that's good and, pay somebody what they should be paid to do nice work for you. Also, cleanliness, it goes without saying, is quite important. If you go to a shop and it looks kind of dumpy and not clean, run away, because your tattoo will be for life, but so will the hepatitis.
Indeed.
So anyway, yeah, cool. Thanks for this email. She sent us another one too, and we will read that one on the show at some point in the future. So, all right, I think that's it for the emails.
Okay.
Did I hand you any that I?
No, you didn't hand me any more.
We're a little disorganized today. I know this is going to come out as a comment on iTunes Music Store that we don't do our research, but we do our research. It's just
you're still disorganized anyway.
We're just disorganized. Exactly. I'm a very disorganized person by nature. So yeah, that's all for that.
Drop the phone, it'll save you a jenna. Send an email to Bob and Jenna.
Time once again for some vegan freak voicemail. Maybe we'll hear from a hot chick.
Or a choice male.
Callers make us happy and help us keep our sanity, even if all they wanna do is fucking complain about the shitload of profanity.
All right, so we got 4 voicemails this week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Played them.
All right, I'll roll them.
Hello, this is Frippy. I was calling with a rant, and it's also a bit of a response to what you were saying last week about how frustrating it is when leftists are not vegan, because I'm a leftist, and it's frustrating when you talk to someone who thinks the way you do on so many issues, and they know as much as you do. Particularly, I'm sure they know as much as I do about the exploitation of animals and the exploitation of the environment when it comes to meat production, but they have these rationalizations they build up that are just frustrating. You know, it's easier for me to forgive ignorance, like someone who just doesn't know better. Like people on the right tend to be. I'm not saying they're all ignorant, but they tend to not know the facts because they watch Fox News, for example. And that's easier for me to forgive than someone who knows the facts and they're just devising all these rationalizations, be it like, well, I only buy free-range beef, or well, I respect the spirit of the animal and the sacrifice. You know, we've talked about this before, but I think it is more frustrating when someone who, on so many other important issues, is on the same page, but suddenly they've become like this total, like, hedonist with these weak justifications for what they do. So anyhow, I was listening to the Mother Jones radio podcast, and they were having a pretty good series for the past few weeks on the oceans, particularly the decline of the oceans, a lot of which comes from human activity, be it chemicals, fertilizers, overfishing, you know, you name it. So they did have a segment on the end on choices a conscious consumer can make that will not pump their bodies full of mercury, because fish are full of it now, and that will not deplete populations of endangered fish. And one thing, you know, I didn't expect them to come right out and say, don't eat any fish at all. That's the best thing you can do. But they could offer it as a suggestion at the end. They could say, or you could just not eat any fish, and then you wouldn't get any mercury in your body, and then you wouldn't be contributing to any of the potential extinction of species. But they can't suggest that, because even for Mother Jones Radio, this, you know, very proud leftist, you know, not mainstream radio show, that's kooky. And that's what annoys me, is when, you know, people who, you know, pride themselves on not thinking like everyone else, even they think you, Mr. Vegan or Ms. Vegan, you know, you're nuts. You know, you're just going too far. And that really annoys me because, you know, I like a lot of mainstream things, I suppose. I mean, not a lot, but I like enough of them, you know. But I just don't like meat, and I'm never going to. Also, on the subject of being depressed about, you know, or depression and alienation as a result from veganism, I do admit it happens sometimes. Like, I was taking a road trip down to Springfield, Missouri, which is it's kind of a small town that's mostly strip malls. Anyhow, I was just noticing how many billboards are for non-vegan foods. And, you know, I mean, it really begins to sink in, like, how many restaurants are on a road of, like, you know, 200-mile road that have meat in them and how many animals that is. And it can really be overwhelming if you think about it, you know. So I don't blame people for getting depressed, because I sometimes do when I think about the sheer volume of meat out there and how everyone considers it normal to eat meat. I did also have an experience staying with these people in Springfield, one of whom brought up my veganism way more than I did. And I don't know if other people have had this experience where someone will constantly tell you again and again, where they will tell you, I respect your decision, but at the same time, you know, they make it very clear that your decision is different. And that's what she kept doing. She kept telling me how she respected it and understood that I was vegan, but at the same time she would go on and describe some delicious meat she ate. It was really annoying, and I didn't know how to deal with it in the most, you know, I just kept kind of quiet. I was trying to think of what the book Vegan Freak said, like, what would Vegan Freak do, you know? But, yeah, it was really just hard for me. And, like, another thing was, like, she just, like, really flippantly said, like, I don't care about killing bees. And I'm thinking, why do you have to say that? I know you don't. I mean, you don't care about killing cows, about killing chickens, about killing fish. Why should I think that you would feel otherwise about bees? Anyhow, it's tough out there. Even, you know, and this is a person with whom I agree with on many other issues, who happens to be a self-proclaimed liberal. And like I said, it's just really annoying when they know, and they're just putting up all these blocks. And I tell you, getting respect in quotes, sarcastic quotes, is just, you know, it's annoying. you know, I'd rather have some solidarity. Thank you. So I guess that's it. So I'm never good at ending these. All right, thanks. Take care. Bye.
I like that.
That's awesome.
Getting
Thanks,
some
Ruby.
Yeah, getting some respect, and
Yeah.
you'd rather have some solidarity. I think that's a great way to put it.
Well, you can get your solidarity here.
Absolutely. And so many good points you raised too. I know how you feel about seeing kind of animals everywhere and thinking about how they're exploited. We were walking by in the grocery store the other day. We walked by this freezer case full of turkeys,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, man, how many lives are there? It's like 30 or 40 massive turkeys just in these kind of frozen balls there in the case, and it's like, that's just depressing to me.
It is, especially because when we were on the way home from the vet last week, we saw this whole huge flock of wild turkeys in the field, and we actually got to pull over and be pretty close to them. And I guess they looked like they were in some sort of mating ritual or something, because normally when you see turkeys in the wild, all their feathers are kind of flattened down, and they just look like very large chickens. Very, very large. But when they, they get their feathers all up, and there's the stereotypical kind of, Thanksgiving turkey pose that you see, the cartoonish kind of turkey. They're amazing.
They really are.
Absolutely beautiful birds.
And they're huge.
They're huge.
God, I couldn't believe how big they were.
Yeah, they got all their tail feathers fanned out, and then they're got the big puffy feathers going. And
they were just kind of like trotting around.
Yeah,
they were having a good old time. So you see things like that up here, which make you, it kind of drives home to me this idea that the animals have their own lives. They have their own way of being, and they've got what's important to them in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we take that.
Yeah,
that's the only way I can think of it. As for leftists, I mean, I have my opinions on this, and I think that they know. I think that they're happy to analyze it and think about it. But I think a lot of them like meat too much, and they're just simply willing to make excuses for it.
Yep, and you see that a lot in publications like Mother Jones.
Mm-hmm.
It's really frustrating. Why don't you just suggest not eating it? I don't get it. Yeah, I run into that a lot too.
Yeah, I find it very frustrating, and I think you voiced that frustration really well, Frippy.
Yeah, very excellent.
So I don't need to dwell on it because you've really done a good job there. So we have another email. This one from Tofu Punk, who we met in Philadelphia.
This is Tofu Punk, and I just had a vegan moment of zen, so I decided to call and tell you about it. So I'm working at a high school, and frequently kids just leave their lunches in the main office and never come pick them up. So I find a lot of really lovely meat products that have been rotting throughout the day and stuff. So I was throwing it out, and one of them I opened up. I found a bottle of soy milk. I mean, granted, the kid had a ham sandwich also, but soy milk, a moment of bliss. In any case, I got wound up in a conversation with somebody about my veganism, and when I told him about mastitis in cows, I kind of threw him over the edge. I gave him a piece of paper with milksucks.com on it, and he took the piece of paper and promptly put it in his pocket, and I know he's going to go to that website and get really nastied out. It's great, man. We're making a difference. That is my moment of zen. Hurrah!
Excellent. Thanks for that, Tofu Punk.
Way to go.
Yeah, I think it's great that he was open to at least, I hope he went back and looked at the site, because if you educate yourself, well, then, then you have to make the decision. Are you going to act on that education that you have? And hopefully he did.
I think we got to use those openings, too, where we have the opportunity for, if people ask, let them know. I think it's a great thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, cool stuff. And, soy milk is, of course, gaining in popularity even among people who drink milk.
Yeah, it is.
Which is a good thing for vegans, because we can get it almost anywhere now.
Yes. Granted,
it might be silk, but, you can get it almost anywhere. Because I know some vegans don't like to buy silk. All right, our next email is from Delaney, but not Delaney on our forums. This is a different Delaney.
Mm-hmm.
There are more than one Delaney in the world.
Hello, my name is Delaney, and I'm calling from Minneapolis. And I was just wondering, I just finished your Vegan Freak book and absolutely loved it. And being a newbie vegan, it was really refreshing and comforting to actually read and learn about all of the things that are issues to new vegans. Anyway, I was wondering what your thoughts were on coexisting with an omnivore significant other, and the issue of a shared refrigerator, and how you would take grocery shopping. At this point, I can't imagine buying chicken or eggs for my boyfriend, even though he eats a very high protein diet since he's a bodybuilder. And at the same time, I kind of battle. I want him to know that I'm not isolating him, but I resent the fact that he would suggest someday down the road he might need me to pick these things up for him. And I'm wondering if I'm being too strict, or if you are living with an omnivore, that's just the compromise, or that's just what you have to put up with. So anyway, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Wow. Well, thanks, Chet Delaney, and congratulations on going vegan, and thanks for picking up our book. Glad you liked it. I think it's a complicated question. Me personally, if I were to live with someone who were an omnivore, I couldn't buy these things for that person. I just couldn't. And so for me, it would be one of those things where I would put my foot down and say, I can't and I won't, and that's about it. But I think ultimately that's between you and your conscience and that person. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and each couple, has different dynamics, and so what works for one couple will not work for another couple. But I think it's really important to talk about it, honestly, because otherwise, you need to make your feelings known that you don't feel comfortable buying this, and then so that maybe he can explain to you why, what he expects. So, I don't know, that's tough.
Well, I think you can. I mean, I think the subject can be broached kind of delicately if you explain to him where you're coming from, why it's important to you, and why you would have difficulty doing it. I think most people who are sensitive to the needs of their partners would recognize that, in fact, this is an emotional issue and really something that needs to be respected. So I think people would get that. And, it can be tough. It can be hard to walk that line. But I think it's important if you have trouble with the notion of going to the store and buying meat or eggs or dairy, that you not engage in that behavior, and that you maybe let him know why you're not doing that, and that it's not personal to him, but that it is something that you in good conscience can do. And I think that's pretty reasonable. Yeah, and from talking to people on the forums and learning the situations of there are a lot of vegans who live with omnivores and they make it work. And a lot of, I think, make this compromise that no meat in the house, or I won't buy you meat, but if you want to make it, go ahead, you make it for yourself. Or if, you eat it when you go out, you do that. So I think a lot of people do come to compromises that work for everybody. Yeah, I think everybody does it a little differently. So I know that's not really an answer, but I would encourage you to stick to your guns in a sense, but not stick to them so much so that, you alienate. But I think you got to work it out with your boyfriend. And I think that you need to let him know where you're at, and that the two of you need to figure it out. But I know that's not really an answer, but it depends on your situation, and how far you're willing to go or how far you're not willing to go. Me, I'm kind of a recalcitrant pain in the ass, and so I would probably be digging my heels in and saying no, but that's the way I am. Jenna's laughing because she knows it's true. Yep. It's the way I am. I would be like, no. I would be very strict about it because I'm kind of that way, but I think everybody's different, and I think that, you can maybe work it out. So I don't know if anyone else out there has advice. You can always call in or send us an email. We'd love to hear, and we could play it for Delaney or forward it on to her. Yeah, and by the way, there are a lot of vegan bodybuilders. Yeah, there are indeed. There's a whole vegan bodybuilding forum out there. Yes. And some of them actually say it's better. So, and you can also come to our forums, by the way, if you have questions like this. There are forums for parents on our forums. There are forums for sex and everything, pretty much, that you could deal with veganism, and you'll get a very lively debate going, almost certainly. All right, our next email is from Sarah. Voicemail. I have this voicemail email problem. Our next voicemail is from Sarah.
Hey guys, this is Sarah, Vegan Revolution on the forums. I was just calling in regards to a voicemail I actually heard from somebody else, I think, or an email, I don't remember which it was, that was on the show from last week, about a girl who is in school and she's being picked on, I guess, by other folks that are in her cafeteria or whatever class, something like that, when she's eating lunch, and about how they're sticking chicken bones on her chair or whatever, anything to torment, because kids are kind of mean. But I was just calling in regards to that because I remember when I was in high school, which, was only a couple years ago, I went vegetarian, but then I kind of was like doing the vegan. I was kind of vegan at the same time. I don't know, but either way, I think I might have actually been vegan at the time, and people thought I was weird because they didn't know what I was, eating, and I sat with a group of my friends at the table in the cafeteria. Most of them ate the usual lunch, and I actually would go up because we had a sandwich line. You go up and you make yourself a sandwich because everything else was just disgusting, like the macaroni and cheese, which I probably wouldn't have eaten because I think I might have been vegan at the time, and just disgusting lunch food that wasn't something I would eat, other than French fries. And so we'd go up on this lunch line, and they'd have various different meats and cheeses, and then they had lots of vegetables. So I started making these veggie sandwiches, pretty much, kind of like a sub, but just on like a regular roll, like a sandwich roll. And I would put all sorts of vegetables on it, and I would be eating this every single day. People would ask me what it was, and just my friend Chris was very interested in it. So I told him, if he wanted to try it, he could try it. So he tried a bite, and he was like, "This is really good. What's on it?" And he's like, "Is it just vegetables?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't know if that'll fill me up, but I could try it." So he was the first one to try it. Like, we went on the lunch line together, and I showed him how I made it. Like, I put peppers and ground carrots, onions, lettuce, and just all sorts of different things that you can put on a sandwich. I put on there with vinegar, oil, oregano, salt, and pepper. And he started eating it, and then the other people at the table were kind of interested in it, so they started eating it. And I think it's because people don't have the knowledge of what you're eating and what you're doing and what your lifestyle revolves around, so that gives them even more of a reason to want to just argue with you. And even when they do know, they argue. But I think if you show people positively, because there was a time where, I still catch myself doing it sometimes, if you're going to argue with people about it or get flustered or mad, they're going to just see that weakness in you, and they're going to keep bothering you. And the best thing to do, I guess, for the person who wrote that, or sent in the voicemail, is to just keep your head up and don't let them discourage you. The only thing you could do is ignore it, basically. That's what I did throughout school. And if you're friends with any people who kind of poke fun at you, just show them, that it's not too bad. Let them try something you're eating and see how good it is. And that's it. That was just my little bit of advice and little story for you. So, yeah, so I don't know. But I just wanted to tell you, I'm sorry for leaving a long voicemail, but I just hope that could possibly help anybody who might listen to it or whatever. So that's it, and thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, thanks, Sarah. That's a really good idea. I think you're right. People can't conceptualize what we eat. So if you do show them, and especially show them something really tasty that's absolutely loaded with veggies and tastes really good, I think it's a great thing.
Just opening up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good thing, and you win people over with food too. I really believe that.
Definitely.
How often has it been that we've gone to potlucks or other kinds of events, and we've had to bring a vegan dish along, and we put the vegan dish down on the table and turn around to grab a fork and a knife, and you turn back and everything in the dish is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, shit, that was what I was going to eat. But that happens a lot because people look at something like, ooh, that's kind of different and new and not something I've tried before. So a lot of people will look at food as a way of, trying something out. And I think it's a good idea. If you can, sometimes people it is unfamiliarity, and I think reacting to that kind of teasing sometimes feeds people, which we talk about in our book a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That if people are into teasing you, they're going to keep teasing you, even if, you can... Even if you keep reacting, they're going to keep teasing you because it's like their little drug. They get a little hit off of making fun of you. So I completely agree with that idea.
Yep.
So, nice idea.
Thanks.
And that's it for our voicemails this week.
267-295-1944. Write the number down on your refrigerator door. Add the 001 country code if you call us from Vienna. That's how you leave a voicemail for good old Bob and Jenna.
Okay, and what we're going to do now is roll another 2 Riot Clone tracks. Again, the Link track, which is kind of a little recording, and the and another track. This one is called For What? And after that, we'll move into another segment with Dino. But let's let this go first. Again, this is For What?
Professor Colin Blakemore is one of Britain's leading experts on the brain.
I was working on cats. In fact, I was working on kittens. I was working on vision, and people are very sensitive about their eyes. And some of the experiments that I did actually involved depriving animals of vision. So it was a ready-made, gruesome scenario. A mad scientist stitches up the eyelids of helpless kittens.
No, you'd have more otters to kill, wouldn't you? And poke down and bloody be cruel too. People like you make me so sick.
Okay, that was For What by Riot Clone. And, just pretty good lyrics again. Soap kittens' eyes to make them blind, make the reflexes on a line. For what? For what? Try to infect chimps with AIDS, damage sheep with hand grenades. For what? And it goes on from there. And it's a good song in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend this album. I like it a lot, and I've been listening to it a lot. And I think it's good. So now, we have a segment with Dino. Now, this segment with Dino is a little different, as he explains. But we have our Dino theme music. Some of you complained that we forgot to roll the Dino theme music last time. So here's a short Dino intro.
Dino, we who cook with Dino are the luckiest people in the world.
Hey there, vegan freaks, it's Dino. Unfortunately, this week it got kind of difficult for us to schedule a proper interview with Bob and Jenna, so instead Bob said it would be okay if I just submitted a regular audio file so that you guys can have my segment as you normally would. Anyway, I got a question from Eric's talking about how she would like to have Indian food, but she would like it to be lower fat than what you typically get in a restaurant. Now, just to give you guys a heads up, if you go to an Indian restaurant, chances are you're going to be getting Indian food that's from the north of India, which tends to be slightly higher fat than the stuff from the south of India, which is really light on the stomach and pretty low on the fat. So I guess I'd like to share a couple of recipes with you from South India, which are Indian food, but are very low in fat and really healthy for you. The first one I'd like to share is called a koota, which is essentially a mix of vegetables, a little bit of spices, and absolutely no oil at all. The bulk of your fat from there is going to be coming from the coconut and the coconut milk. So here's how this works. You get together your favorite vegetables, such as chayote squash, maybe some carrots, some potatoes, possibly some onions, maybe some I don't know, tomatoes if you want to, eggplant, zucchini, whatever kind of vegetables you'd like, and you throw them all in a pot with about 3 or 4 tablespoons of fenugreek seeds, about a tablespoon of turmeric powder, and let the entire mess boil until it gets cooked. Then when in the last 10-15 minutes of cooking, add in about a pound of cabbage and let that cook down until the cabbage is done. 5 minutes after that's done, throw in 2 or 3 ground chilies and maybe about 1 can's worth of coconut milk, which is about 10 to 12 ounces, give or take, and let it come to a full boil and boil for about another 5 or 10 minutes or so, give or take, just to get the coconut milk incorporated, and serve it over brown rice, just like that. It's really simple and it tastes really good. Now the flavoring is mostly going to be coming from the fenugreek seeds, and the turmeric, oddly enough, does add a little bit of flavoring, and the chili. However, it tastes really good because it's got this light vegetable-y flavor that you don't normally get with most vegetable dishes cooked in oil. Another really good idea is something called rasam, which is a sort of split pea tomato type of soup. How it works is that you get about a tablespoon of oil and heat it up in a large pot until it's very, very hot. Throw in about a teaspoon of black mustard seeds and a couple of shakes of asafoetida. Then throw in a handful of curry leaves and let them explode and pop. When that's done, throw in about 2 or 3 tomatoes, a tablespoon of turmeric powder, and 2 or 3 tablespoons of tamarind paste. Not tamarind concentrate, just get the regular tamarind paste. If you have tamarind concentrate, thin it out by half with water and pour it in. Let the entire mixture come to a full boil, and get about a teaspoon of rasam powder, which you can buy in the store pre-made. I don't have time to get into all the different spices that go in there or the technique, but you can definitely Google it, and it's spelled R-A-S-A-M powder. Throw in about a tablespoon of that and let the liquid come to a full boil and let it sit for about 10 minutes at the boil. That's your basic rasam. If you want to supplement it with a little bit more nutrition, maybe add in about 1 pound's worth of cooked yellow split peas, and possibly, if you feel like it, some garlic and onions for flavor, and most definitely lots and lots of fresh ground black pepper. It's sort of the base of the flavors for rasam. Another really easy one is what we call kirakutu, which is essentially spinach soup sort of thing. You get a teaspoon of oil, get it in a pot and heat it up really hot. Throw in about a teaspoon of black mustard seeds, let them pop. Throw in 1 onion and saute it until it gets softened, and throw in about 2 or 3 pounds of spinach and about 3 or 4 cups of water. Stir everything around until it gets completely combined and let it come to a full boil. By that time, the spinach should be cooked and the spices should be completely incorporated. You'll have a spinach soup that you can now serve over brown rice or eat it all by itself. It's really good all by itself. There's a cup. Another really easy one is a sort of South Indian split pea soup. Somebody asked about it on the forum, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my response. A curry powder is sort of a dreaded shortcut that you want to avoid when making Indian food, because it ends up making everything taste the same. Instead, try making South Indian split pea soup and you'll have stellar results. Here's how it works. Boil up some yellow split peas in a pressure cooker, or just let them boil in a pot until they're tender. While the split peas boil, have prepared 1 teaspoon whole mustard seeds, 1 teaspoon whole cumin seeds, and 1 teaspoon of coriander seeds that you crush lightly. You can throw it into a Ziploc bag and just crush it with a wine bottle or with a rolling pin. 3 to 5 stalks of curry leaves if you can get it, 1/8 of a teaspoon of asafoetida if you have it, 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder. Get 1 onion and mince it up really finely. Get 2 cloves of garlic and mince that up finely. A small knob of ginger grated. 2 tomatoes roughly chopped. A small chili finely chopped. If you're doing the split peas in a pressure cooker, it should take roughly 10 to 15 minutes to cook, and by this time you'll have finished preparing all your ingredients. If you're boiling them over the stove in a pot, it'll take roughly 45 minutes to an hour. Either way, whether or not your split peas are ready, put on a pot of rice and have it cooking while you make the soup to serve with the soup. Now, in a large stock pot with a heavy bottom, pour in about 3 tablespoons of peanut, canola, corn, vegetable, or safflower oil. Turn up the heat to high and let the oil get hot. This takes about 30 seconds. When the oil is hot, pour in the mustard seeds and the cumin seeds. In about 30 to 45 seconds, the seeds should start to pop and explode. Pour in the crushed coriander seeds. Immediately put in the curry leaves if you have it. They're going to explode. Add the onions, garlic, ginger, chilies, asafoetida if you have it, and the turmeric powder. Stir the onion mixture until everything is combined with the fat and spices. A good way to check for that is to look at your onions. If they've all gone completely yellow, then you're doing the right thing. Turn the heat up to high and continue to stir until everything's combined. Pour in the tomatoes and stir the tomatoes through to combine. Drop down the heat to medium-low and cover the pot. While you're waiting, brew up some coffee, adding 3 to 5 cardamom pods and a sprinkle or 2 of nutmeg and about 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder to the coffee grounds. Brew as you normally would. As soon as the coffee is done brewing, place the pot into the fridge. By now the tomatoes should be softened. Pour in the cooked yellow split peas into the pot with the tomatoes. Stir to combine all the ingredients together. Increase the heat up to high. Sprinkle in salt to taste. When the pot comes to a full boil, let it boil at high heat for about 5 minutes. I should make a note right now, when you're pouring in the split peas, you're pouring them in with the water that you cooked them in and not drained. This is what provides all the water for the soup. Anyway, after they've been boiling at high heat for about 5 minutes, turn off the heat and let it sit until the rice is cooked. When you're ready to serve, pour a quarter cup of cooked rice on the bottom of a bowl and pour on 1 cup of the split pea soup. Fill up a tall drinking glass with ice and pour the coffee over the ice and serve with the soup. Feel free to experiment with other beans, as this is a really simple recipe that you can do with pretty much any bean and it'll come out pretty well. And the cool thing about it is that you're using about 3 or 4 quarts of water to 2 or 3 tablespoons of oil, so you're really not going to be getting that much fat. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my segment. Feel free to email me any questions, comments, or anything else like that at diva@veganfreak.com. The only request that I make is that you keep things fairly produce-based, because I don't use tofu and seitan and tempeh and soy milk and things like that in my own cooking. It's kind of difficult for me to give you guys advice on it, so I'm pretty useless about that. So email me those questions and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you all.
So there was our segment with Dino. We need to get Dino to write up his recipe book. Oh, I thought you were signaling me for some reason.
Outro.
Yeah, I'm going to play it when we're done talking about Dino.
Cool. Okay. Just didn't want to forget because it's.
I'm not going to forget.
The song's awesome.
When we're talking about, when we're done talking about, I'm going to play it when we're done talking about Dino.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to get Dino to post a text version of that recipe or that segment, because it's kind of hard if you're just listening to keep pausing everything. So I'll get that up, try to get that up in the forums or on our webpage. And lots of good stuff there. So
indeed, and now I'm hungry.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
And, it's 7:41 and we haven't eaten dinner yet.
I know.
So let me play this outro and we can get out of here.
So now our cast iron skillets are treated and our ovens are all preheated. Throw away that fake meat, it'd bring out the vicious wrath of Dino. Vegan freaks love Dino, 'cause he sure can cucino. Grazie Dino. Molto squisito.
Grazie indeed, Dino. So, yeah, that was our segment with Dino. Please send Dino your questions at diva@veganfreak.com. And again, Dino, like he said, he doesn't cook with any kind of any substitutes, and he tends to keep everything fairly fresh and produce based, which is why his cookbook I think will be an interesting one, because it just completely cuts out all that stuff. Yeah. Though I cook with a lot of the stuff. I eat tofu and seitan. I have no problem with that. With those particular things.
Yay!
Cat's gonna walk across the soundboard. Don't do that. Oh my god, that could have been very bad. He could have played every sound we had on the show so
at
far.
once.
All at once. Had he walked exactly on the wrong places, and he would have, because he's a cat.
Yep.
That's what cats do.
Indeed.
All right, so that's a show for this week. That's a wrap on show 34.
Yeah, I screwed up last time. For those of you paying attention, I said show 32. It was actually show 33.
There you go.
So,
and what we need from you, though, is we would like to hear from you. We want to know what it is that you want to hear on the show. We have ideas, and some weeks we have more, and some weeks we have less. But we would like to hear from you things that you want us to discuss or talk about, people you would like us to have on. We have some upcoming things that we're planning, but it's always good to have some ideas from you about people you would like to have on the show, or topics you would like us to discuss. You can always call our voicemail line at 267-295-1944. You can send us email at podcast@veganfreak.com. You go to our website at podcast.veganfreak.com. You can go to our book website at veganfreak.com, our forums, all kinds of things if you want. The letter I read earlier in the show is at veganfreaks.org, which is our blog. And basically you can find links to all this stuff at veganfreak.com. So if you want to get in touch with us, please do. If you want to have ideas for the show, things you would love to hear, let us know. And we're really glad that you listened this week.
Yes, and thank you. And once again, you can still vote for us at Podcast Alley for April. We appreciate the votes, and it gets us down in the rankings.
I think we fell out of the top 50.
Oh, no.
I know.
We have to get back in the top 50. Come on, people, go vote if you haven't voted in April already.
Yeah, thank you.
It'll take 2 seconds.
It will help us if we can get back in the top 50 because it helps get people listening to the show.
Definitely.
Some people found us through Podcast Alley and gone vegan.
Yay!
Unbelievably. I can't understand how, just listening to this. No, I think some people think about it and,
there you go.
You just need a little push in the right direction, and this, for some people, this is it, oddly enough. So anyway, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week. Be in touch with us. Let us know what you want to hear on the show. Mm-hmm. And don't forget, we could always use more subscribers.
Yes, and thank you to those who have already subscribed.
That's right.
Once again.
Now, I sent an email to all of our subscribers so far, and if you haven't gotten it, check your junk mail box, because that email contains information that you need to access the podcast. Mm-hmm. The private podcast, the uber secret special podcasts, where we dish out all kinds of details about boring stuff like our life here. No, but if you haven't gotten it, let us know. All right. Well, anyway, until next week.
Bye. Satan, precious God is over.